continuous growth, you know, like, okay, here's step A, and then I go to this higher level and I'm way better. You know, you go forward and then you get knocked back a little bit, and then you go forward and you get knocked back. So it's interesting to me because I've been in these different places in my life where my goals look very different. For example, when I first left my ex-husband, my big grand goals were like to survive, right? To like not die. I didn't look outside myself at all. Like, I gotta survive and I have to take care of my child, and my main focus was I just need enough to give him some food and make sure he has diapers and somehow figure out a place to live and not die. Like, that was my big goal. And that's what it needed to be then. You know, so if you're somewhere there right now and your life is maybe in such a way that your goals are these survival goals, that's okay. And again, this isn't a progression. I wasn't necessarily any better. It's not like, oh, I went from this and then I was so much better and more noble, and then I went here. No, I was just in a different place in my life. So once I got to a place where I wasn't just trying to live, then my goals became a little bit more like, okay, I want to get healthy. You know, I'm a mess. I was like neurotic and had all these weird, like, honestly, all that stress, I developed these weird tics. I would scratch my shoulder like incessantly. Weird, right? Just from all the stress, like I had not taken care of myself. Come and have a seat. And so my goals, kind of the next phase in my life, looked more like, okay, I want to get healthy. I got to spend some time getting my mind healthy, getting my body healthy. I want to get a job where I make enough money that I can support myself and my child and not just barely be able to, you know, put food on the table. That was kind of where I graduated to next, or went to next. And then now I still have a lot of those same goals, but I am trying now what my goals and my realizations have been, and this has been along with you guys too. Like, I really have spent some time in the last 2 weeks because there's some things I'm not doing a good job at. Like, for example, when I was in survival mode, I did not know what anyone around me needed. I didn't reach out to anyone. I didn't help anybody. I didn't notice if my sister was struggling and try to help her. It was all very, like, I just have to keep my head above water. But again, there's nothing wrong with that because you need to, we all need to try to grow from where we're at, right? So that's where I was. Now, I really am trying to be more aware of what other people are needing and feeling. I want to keep myself healthy and all those goals as well. But I've looked around at my life and I've thought, okay, where am I lacking? And I personally, one of the ways that I really need to do better is to reach out to other people, notice what they're doing. So that's kind of where I'm trying, and I'm trying to appreciate my life and be present in it, and appreciate my body especially, because I can be very hard on myself as well. And so those are kind of where I'm going. But the interesting thing about that is, I probably won't always be there either. There's going to be something that's going to knock me down, an illness, a sickness, someone with my family, and I'm going to be back to survival mode again, right? And it's just going to be like, my goals right now are to get through this hard trial. So wherever you're at right now, your goals are going to be kind of centered in that, and there's no right or wrong to where you're at, okay? Just want to make that very clear. And there's no better. There's no like, oh, you graduate from survival goals and then you have deeper goals. No, you need those goals when you're there, and you need these other goals when you're there. So we're all where we need to be. Let's see. Talked about that. Oh, did anybody say no? We talked about your job. To things that were taking up a lot of space in their life that weren't getting them closer to their goals. Because that's a big thing. So you realize where you want to go, but then you got to look at your life, because we're all super busy, right? And I don't know very many people that are like, oh, I have tons of time for that. Oh, I can just do this as much as I want. Everybody, without fail, no matter what the goals are, fitness or not, says, I don't have time, I can't fit it in, or whatever. has to go, right? To put this other stuff in. So did anybody pay attention to, realize, get rid of some stuff in their life to make room for the stuff that was important? Did anybody do some of that this week?
The 3 things I said.
Yes, great. You'll have so
And
much
I look
more
back
time
and I'm
once you
just
get rid of those
Oh
guys.
my gosh, the goals, it totally lines up with my 3 goals.
I got in great shape after I left my husband, I can tell you that. No, but does anybody want to share another, something that you got rid of, took out? It could simply be like, hey, I watch too much TV. I'm on Facebook too much. I had to get rid of that to fit my workout in. Whatever. I sleep way too much. I had to get up at 4 o'clock in the morning, right? That was mine. I'm like, okay, what can go? Sleep. I'll just get up at 4:30 to get my workout in. But again, those were the 2 goals for the first session to now, is I wanted you to figure out what you wanted and then start to make room for it. Okay? All right. So that brings us to now, today. All right. Is anybody feeling like they're meeting with tons of resistance as they're trying to pursue these goals that they've set for themselves? Because sometimes, and I did a little post about this, and I don't know how many people saw it, but we want to reframe kind of the way we think about stuff. So if you're trying to do something new, if you're trying to change the way you do something, change your life, better yourself, it's really hard. Anything that you're doing to try to better yourself or move forward, you're going to be pushing against resistance. And sometimes when we try to change for the better, we're like, just get like bombarded with resistance from people, from things, from ourselves, whatever, right? And then we give up. But I want to start to reframe our thinking. If you're meeting with a whole bunch of resistance, fear, like I said, some people get resistance from actual other people, you know, that's actually a signal to you that you're making changes and you're growing. If you're not ever meeting with any resistance, if you're not ever meeting like some hard decisions, some scary stuff head on, you're not doing anything that's challenging you. It's interesting, I just read this little blurb from a girl that I follow that I love, and she just said, do you ever sit around and you're just bored? You're like, I'm bored or whatever. This happens to me, and this was kind of a wake-up call. She said, whenever that happens to me, I realize I am boring. So what can I do to make my life more exciting? What can I do to step out of my norm? What can I do to push myself, to challenge myself? And I thought, I think along those lines in other ways, but boredom, like I've been bored before, and usually I'm just like, oh man, it's so boring. But to reframe our thought process, because we're in control of everything about our lives, and that's a big thing about this course that I want to just pound into everybody's brain. You are in control of everything, what you do, what you think, what you feel. That doesn't mean that you're perfect about it all the time, but you can change it. So that goes along with this same thought of if you're meeting with resistance, change the way you're thinking about it, and not so much like, oh my gosh, this is so hard. It's just so hard to plow through all this stuff that's coming at me and trying to stop me from reaching my goals. You can say, it'll still be hard, but you can say to yourself, no, I am on the right track. I am doing something that is challenging to me. And so it's gonna be, there's gonna be resistance. You should expect that. You should want that in your life simply in the sense that that means you are growing, okay? So it's really, really challenging to change ourselves, right? We just do the things that we do. But if you don't ever want to meet with serious resistance, then you just have to do nothing that challenges you. You just kind of have to float along and never progress or grow. So does anybody, and you can share or not, but when you've been pursuing these goals that you've come up with, you've been starting on that path, has anybody noticed an increase in resistance in some sort of way? Does anybody want to share specific?
I just have kind of self-resistance, I guess.
Yeah, it's usually the worst.
I've been trying to kind of take my big goals and make them a little softer.
Mm-hmm.
And just, especially with just fitness in general. So I go pretty hard, and I'm kind of hard on myself as far as fitness goes. And I feel like like I'm never like good enough. But I really kind of had to step back with myself and find that balance. And I'm struggling.
Yeah. Yeah. Yep. No, thank you. We have both ends of the spectrum on different things, you know, and I know you well enough to know that about you. But that's an awesome goal too. Like we sit here and we say, okay, we need these big goals, we need to push ourselves. But what I mean by big goals is big goals to make your life what you want it to be. So sometimes we can push ourselves to such extreme for something specific. Life is also about time with our kids. Accepting ourselves and being happy. Being able to eat a piece of pie and not beat ourselves up about it, you know. In my training world, I tell people this all the time, and it's much easier said than done. I have to battle this with myself as well. But we want to be fit and we want to be healthy, but we also want to live our life. And depending on your type of lifestyle, you can do that and it can look like all sorts of different things. But you're the only one who can figure out what your best life looks like. And I know a lot of people in the fitness industry that struggle with that because it can be difficult to accept yourself if you're not 100% stage lean, which you aren't all the time in your life. You can't be. And so I understand that. And I think that is a big goal to take a step down. All right, awesome. Any more major resistance? Yeah.
I just had a lot of anxiety. I need to pursue education a little bit further in my job.
Yeah.
And just, that's been hard. That's
Yeah.
been a huge thing, trying to meet that and move past and know that I can do it.
Yeah. Anxiety is such a crazy thing. Like I was saying before, I have had major problems with anxiety to the point of just like weird, like I told you, I developed like my dad, I remember him, he would physically take my hand off my shoulder because I'd be so nervous I would sit here all the time, just like, that's so weird. But I totally understand that. And it's a weird thing because it's so mental. But it can be a really hard thing to control, and it can be a huge resistance. We're going to talk about some ways to kind of talk yourself through some of that. Awesome. Thank you guys all so much for your feedback. It means a lot to hear some stuff from you guys. It's just like what I say on Facebook. I'm like, make a comment. There's other people that are going to feel the same way that you are. And I always laugh because every time someone will make a comment, tons of other people are like, oh my gosh, I was wondering that same thing. And they were too afraid to ask or speak up. So it's nice to hear feedback from others because there's people in this room that are like, oh, I feel that same way. Thank you. And me too. So thank you guys so much. All right. So I'm going to ask for a little bit of participation. It's not going to be anything too scary. You're just going to have to stand up here in just a minute. So be ready. But let's see. We already talked about resistance. And again, I just want to reiterate the fact that changing yourself is the hardest thing you can do. So pat yourselves on the back. If I had, no, I wouldn't give you donuts because I want you to be healthier than that. But I'll give you an apple. You deserve brownie points. It's a huge, most people are not willing to do the work to change their mindset and to change their path. So the fact that you're even here talking about it and the fact that you've come to some realizations is just a million times ahead of most people that are just kind of like sailing through their life and not going in the direction they want. So I'm just super proud of people that make any effort to change themselves. Okay, so say you set these goals for yourself and say you reach your goals. All the goals you have, you reach them. We'll just say, are you going to be happy once you've reached all those goals? Weird question, right? Once you've hit all the goals you have for yourself, are you just going to be like, this is it. I've made it. I'm totally happy now. This is something that we don't often think about. We're like, okay, I have all these goals. We got to pursue our goals. Well, so once you get there, say you reach all